Houston, no, you got an Arizona problem.
Welcome on into the AZ Wildcats podcast, live from Studio K, presented by the fine folks over at Circle K. I am your host, Damon Fairall. That's my guy, Kevin Thomas, and we are the AZ Wildcats podcast, of course, live from PHNX HQ3 in lovely, beautiful downtown Phoenix. And Kevin, do we have an absolute cinema to sit down and watch for tomorrow? That wasn't proper English, but that's okay. We cannot wait for it. Arizona, Houston, number 4 versus number 2. And Arizona needs to get the proverbial boogeyman off their back here in the way of Kelvin Sampson in that program. We're going to talk about it, dive into that matchup, talk a little bit of news and notes off the top, as well as we let people get in here and settled. But first off, we are sponsored by our friends over at Branded Bills. Head on over to brandedbills.com, use promo code BBPHNX, and get 15% off your first order over at brandedbills.com. Now, I wish I could say that you can go and check out this fresh D-backs Branded Bills hat that I have on over at brandedbills.com, but you can't, because it was a limited edition season ticket holder item that I got my slimy hands on, Kevin, in way of the last D-backs season. And it is one of my most prized possessions. It sits right up here on set most days, but that's because I just need to show it off to the world. Love our friends at Branded Bills. They have, of course, the best Arizona Wildcats headwear in the game. Check it out for yourself. But Kevin, what a matchup we have on the horizon. We're going to be giving you pregame and postgame coverage tomorrow. Can't wait for it. How are you feeling before we get into the news and notes stuff? How are you feeling one day out from what is the biggest game of the season?
You know, I feel good, Damon. I really do. Mostly because I don't think many people expect Arizona to go in there and get a win against Houston on the road. We're going to get into all that a little bit later as to why that might be. There's a variety of reasons as to why. But I feel optimistic about this game. I do believe Arizona is talented enough at a level where if they play their game and they execute damn near perfectly, they actually could get it done, right? It's not a foregone conclusion that Houston wins this game. Houston is a damn great team, but they are not perfect, and neither is Arizona. So it's going to be a great game, and I'm excited to talk about it a little bit further with you. But yeah, to answer your question, I feel optimistic one day out from Houston.
Would it be fair to say that it's probably going to take the best performance of the season from the guys that are at least available, considering that Koa Peat will not be available, and it maybe feels a bit unlikely that Dwayne Aristode will be back at this point, considering we haven't really heard much on that front, and he was ruled out of only the Wednesday game versus BYU and not the Houston game, but it might be unrealistic to expect that he's going to be available. So you would say it's fair to say it's going to take the best performance of the season?
Oh, 1,000%. It's going to take the best game of everybody's year to get this one done, and I think that's a collective thing, right? I think it's fair, right? Because you're down maybe definitely one of your best players, but I don't know where you fall on like where Koa Peat is there. But you're down one of your best guys.
He was the best for the non-conference for the most part, I would argue. Him or Jaden Bradley probably, but yeah.
Yeah, and then you lose that guy, right? And then you lose one of your bench players and pieces in Dwayne Aristode, and now you really are working at a deficit against a Houston team. Like, this is not BYU, where BYU is rolling 6.5 guys out there every night and trying to make it work with AJ DeBanza shooting 30 shots a night. This is Kelvin Sampson's Houston. They legitimately have like 10 guys on that team that get minutes. Right now, are all 10 of them Kingston Flemings, Uzan, Sharp level good? No. But like Sacco gets in, he plays some impactful minutes. Harwell gets in. I know he's not shooting the best, but he can shoot and he plays impactful minutes. So it's going to take everybody in this one. That's why in the thumbnail it says going all in, because you're going to have to be all in this game. There's no hesitancy. There's no hanging anything back. This is all out because this is practically for the Big 12 Conference regular season championship right here. So what is there to lose? This is why you play the games leading up to this point. This is why you went undefeated for 23 games, so you can have some cushion here. Now it's time to go execute in Houston and see if you can get it done.
Yeah, no doubt about it. We're going to dive deeper into that matchup and kind of give you the, Houston strengths and weaknesses, what we think maybe some of the key matchups and battles on the court are going to be later into this podcast here. But another sport, Kevin, that I think, we'd be remiss to mention off the top, that was playing in what I would argue was their biggest game of the season so far last night is Arizona baseball, who loses to UConn by a score of what was it? What it ended up being 6-4.
6-3.
I think we got a run back in the bottom of the 12th there. 6-4. Arizona loses to UConn, dropping to 0-4 on the season now, or 0-5.
0-5, yeah.
Yeah, and it was the battle of 0-4 teams. It was
Correct.
The 0-4 bowl.
Between
Arizona baseball and UConn last night. UConn just got run rolled by ASU 17-7. ASU swept Omaha. Arizona loses to Omaha. You couldn't draw up a worse start to the season. Obviously, you're not only did you get swept in the opening tournament, but those were against legitimate competition. Stanford, which is always a pretty legitimate program, albeit they're not ranked at this moment in time, but they're a program to be reckoned with in general. They have a lot of history. Oregon State, one of the best teams in the country, and then Michigan, which is one of the better teams in the Big Ten. The Big Ten, being one of the worst power conferences in baseball. It was not. It's not a complete disaster going 0-3 in those games. You then lose to Omaha. You then lose to UConn, and now the panic button is fully on the table, Kevin, because you're getting very dangerously close to the season being over already. Like, we're talking tournament, the tournament chances and a selection committee and whatnot. Like, how many losses is it going to take off the top of the season against teams that you should be beating that, when you're a preseason ranked team before your season is almost dusted before it starts?
Yeah, no, it's brutal. The offense has been absolutely unacceptable to start the year. It's not how you're going to win any games, Damon. I mean, one of your better, like we talked about it on our audio-only edition of the AZ Wildcats podcast. So if you're not subscribed on like a podcasting app, Apple Podcast, Spotify, whatnot, go subscribe, because Damon and I we're trying to do 2 a week audio exclusives, whether it be baseball coverage around the A, where we talk about everything from gymnastics to men's basketball, and then variety of different things we plan on bringing to the audio-only side. But like as we touched on or we explained in there, we'll touch on here. Like one of your players you expected a lot from this year, I feel like offensively would have been Maddox, right?
Yeah,
Maddox Michaelitis, and he has not produced. I mean, what did he go 0 for 5 with 5 Ks the other night,
against
right?
Omaha.
Against Omaha.
Yeah,
and it's like that can't happen. Now baseball is a game of extreme ups and downs, peaks and valleys, highs and lows, right? And it's always water's gonna find its level, and he's going to get back to maybe who we expected him, or maybe a little bit less than who we expected him, depending upon how things shake out to be. But this is not a good start to the year. That's an understatement of the century, I think, for Arizona baseball and Chip Hale. They need to bounce back here in a big way, Damon, for certain.
Yeah, go check out that audio-only podcast where we really dove into the opening 4 games of the season. But these bats are just so cold right now, Kevin. You're watching them hit. I was unfortunately watching the game last night and in just excruciating pain doing so. It was like torture. And the plate approach is just horrendous. They get up there. They're so aggressive. They have no power, just zero power output whatsoever. Like they are not putting the ball over the fence, which is something that they've done under Chip Hale every single year that he's been here. Obviously lost a lot of key offensive players in the last year here from the College World Series team to this team. But at Arizona baseball, you should always have some level of offense. And this offense is just lifeless. They get up there, the plate approach, like I said, they get down in counts constantly. Every count feels like it's 1-2, 0-2. 0-1. Like it never feels like they're working ahead in counts, which means that they're never really getting, what they want to hit. It's always the pitcher, kind of dictating the AB there. And a lot of rollovers, man, like lots of ground balls, soft ground balls right at people. And last night, like they wait to start hitting until it's the last inning of the baseball game, Kevin. And in the 8th inning, that's when they start putting runs up to tie the game up. Then they have like 4 chances to walk it off and don't do it in any of those opportunities. And finally, before UConn puts some points or runs on the board, because Arizona's bullpen was pitching their asses off last night. And Arizona's pitching in general so far this season has been really, really solid. I mean, we expected it to be with Kramkowski and Smith Bailey coming back. And yeah, I mean, you have a good staff. You have a good bullpen from the likes of it so far, minus the first game, and the offense just can't do anything with it. So we're at the point now where it's like, I know on the podcast that we did, Kevin, if you go listen to it, I was saying like, I think you got to sweep UConn, but at minimum, you got to go 3-1. That leaves zero room for error here in these final 3 games of this series. Or else I think it's a complete disaster start to the season. And we could be in for a potentially very, very long baseball season here.
You know what's not a disaster, nor is it long? The Olympics. The Olympics are going on right now, and it's a very short and fleeting thing, but it's not all doom and gloom for the Arizona Wildcats on that side. We do have this news that I saw, or Leah saw and sent to us from UA Science account there on Instagram. That says, we are wishing College of Science alum Skylar Sieben the best luck this week as she competes in the 2026 Olympics for Team Canada in the 2-woman bobsleigh sled there. So I was looking into this, Damon, because as I'm sure everyone can assume here, I am not an expert on 2-woman bobsledding. Breaking news. Sorry to break it to you, but I did.
You couldn't have done some research maybe before this podcast and get a little bit prepared, brother.
This is what I'm getting into.
Find all the intricacies of the game and the beautiful sport.
So I went to our Winter Olympics expert, Leah Merrill, in the office, and I said, Leah, can you help me understand what's going on here? And apparently there are 4 heats that she will be competing in. She's already competed in 2. Her and her partner were ranked 12th after Heat 1. They are ranked now 11th. After Heat 2, and I believe the top 20 of 25 advance into like the final to compete for a medal or whatnot. So they're in it. Team Canada with Skylar Sieben is in the race, it seems, going into Heat 3 for 2-woman bobsledding. So there's a little positive news there to cleanse the palate there, Damon.
Bring us back a little bit, Kevin. I'm looking right now at a list here of most all-time Olympic medals by school. Should we grab this on air for the podcast while we're on the Olympics conversation?
Why not?
Yeah, why don't you put it on the screen for us here? I'm sending it in our Slack. But yeah, pretty impressive stuff from the Wildcats side of things, and definitely goes to show the level of athletics from an overall all-around standpoint that is on campus, right? Because I think joining the Pac-10 and later the Pac-12 had a lot to do with that, because you're competing with. I mean, look at the teams at the top when you're having this conversation. It's USC by a landslide, Stanford, UCLA, Cal is your top 4, all 4 Pac-10, Pac-12 California schools. And I think that kind of makes, your level of all-around athletics rise as well. But what a massive, decision that was in terms of getting our sports up to the level that they need to be competitive. But Arizona 13th, Kevin, 13th in medal count. This is via College Football Zone on Twitter.
Yeah, and then Arizona State coming in at 18 as well. So we're gonna have to make sure we get some more medals so that they can.
With how many?
Nice, and very nice 69. Very mature Arizona State.
I was about to say very on brand for them. Just very immature, very very classless. You would say.
Indeed, Damon. Well, in terms of Arizona news and notes, I think that is all we have for that. But I did want to talk to you, Damon, about some more coach speak. I think we're gonna be. I kind of want to coin it that, because we've been talking a lot about clips from different coaches, and we might as well just call it a segment of coach speak right now, because we have Mick Cronin, who ejected his own player, who, actually, before we get to Mick Cronin, we do have one more Arizona news and note. Bennedict Mathurin went off last night in his home debut for the Clippers. 38 points, 4 assists, I believe 5 rebounds, 3 steals as well. Man, he was absolutely hooping. I could not watch the game, though, because it was not on national TV. It was on only League Pass or like all altitude TV in Denver, who was their opponent. But yeah, he absolutely went off. And he had this to say about his new relationship with Clippers head coach Tyronn Lue.
Man, it's gonna be awesome, man. He might end up being my best friend. But like I said, he told me to be aggressive, man. He told me to be myself, and I feel like he really knows my game. He really knows what I can do. So, glad to have him as a coach. You know what I'm saying? And I think that bringing everybody along, we can do a lot of great things.
It's really cool, in my opinion, to see Bennedict Mathurin. Oftentimes in the NBA, I feel like when you get traded, there's not that level of optimism about the new opportunity that you have, especially when you were just on a team in Indiana that was in the NBA Finals, right? Getting traded to a team in the Clippers who has not sniffed an NBA Finals. So it feels like Bennedict Mathurin is optimistic getting to work with a coach in Tyronn Lue, who obviously knows what he has in Mathurin, letting him come off the bench for 38 last night, giving him the offensive freedom to get buckets the way we know he can in volume. But I saw that last night, and I was pretty pumped to see that from Benny.
Yeah, I mean, it's a new part of his career, right? Obviously, he was in the finals just last year with the Pacers, so it's a little bit surprising to see them trade a key piece on that team, given that, their star is out. It's not like the expectation level was super high this year, but Mathurin ends up a Clipper, and the Clippers have a lot of opportunity, Kevin. And Mathurin is the type of guy where it feels like, maybe – he's done well. He's always been an efficient scorer in his, opportunities in the league. But he's never really been given kind of the role as the guy, the volume scorer on the team. And I wouldn't be shocked if he kind of took that over on the Clippers and we saw like a little bit of a different Ben Mathurin than we've seen thus far in his career, where he's kind of been like a 18 point per game scorer. And I think we could really be seeing like him be like a 23 point per game scorer, from now until the end of the season. Could be pretty impressive stuff.
Could be scoring his way into a very pretty payday, even prettier than what he's already getting at some point here. Because as being on a team like the Clippers where he can get volume scoring, I think that is someone that teams could maybe talk themselves into down the line of like, do we need to give this guy who's been on a finals team, like maybe not finals winning, but finals competitive team, a little bit of more run? Then he go to the Clippers and he puts up a ton of points. Can he come do that here? Maybe help us reach a finals. Now he's a little bit more mature. Give him a big bag. Yeah, shout out to Bennedict Mathurin for last night's performance. Absolutely electric in the home Intuit Dome debut. It does kind of stink that he's playing for a Los Angeles team, though. And now I got to kind of hope that the Clippers do well. I don't like rooting for them. Look what they just did to Chris Paul, man.
Yeah, I
don't want to root for the Clippers. It's we talked to our guy SPG. It's F the Clippers all day, every day.
Yeah, I was about to say I don't really care about the Clippers, but you're right. The Chris Paul thing, disrespectful as hell.
Yeah, disrespect the game, man.
Steve Ballmer involved in some stuff.
Come on, man.
That's all I'll say. No further comment on the matter. But yeah, I'm out. I might be out on the Clippers as well. White Burrito puts here in the chat, you guys probably don't remember the great Arizona Olympian Amanda Beard. Come on, brother. Don't do that to me. I got a signed Amanda Beard poster. She's a 7-time Olympic medalist. She has 2 golds, 4 silvers, 1 bronze medal, former world record holder, Kevin. Spoke at my elementary school at one point because one of my best friends who I've told you about, she was a cheerleader at U of A. Her family is really good friends with with Amanda Beard. So they got her to come speak at my elementary school. Come on now. Don't play with me.
Don't try him that.
Don't try me. I mean, here's the thing. If Brian's here in the chat, maybe I don't remember stuff when I'm -11. But I can remember stuff when I was a small child, and it sticks with me.
No, yeah, that's incredible. Yeah, like Deborah Owen says, to treat CP3 like that, nah. But I do got to root for Bennedict Mathurin, so I'm going to have to figure out some way to karmically balance this out in the future. Maybe I hope that he balls out, but that they lose games, potentially, but then it makes him an empty stats, bad team guy, and that's not good for his career narrative. Mm-hmm. We'll have to sort this out at some point. But
I like Sam's take that he's going to be an all-star someday.
Totally.
Book it. And I feel like if he can find a way to stay with the Clippers, I think that could be potential as well. I really do think that maybe next year with some run with this new team that could be a pretty good fit for him. Just to kind of be given the keys a little bit more to any sort of team like it was at Arizona.
Yeah, but my only thought with that is now he's in the West, and I feel like it's instantly harder to make an all-star team in the West than it is in the East. Maybe I'm wrong on that, but yeah. And then moving on to Coach Speak, Damon, we do have Mick Cronin, like I was saying, apologizing to Steven Jamerson And then I cut this part of the clip that we're about to play out, but he goes on to rant about, not rant, but kind of, linger on talking about Steven Jamerson's NIL, because he jokes that, Jamerson was like, hey, you're being too nice to me. You're actually apologizing. I'm going to need an extra $10K of NIL. And then Mick Cronin's like, no, I negotiated it down to a commercial. Just listen to Mick Cronin right here.
To Steve, okay. I thought that he took the guy out like the kid at Providence took the guy from St. John's out. It's the only reason I sent him to the locker room. I thought he literally made a dirty play and tried to wipe the guy out. Now, I don't have the film. Once I saw the film, I mean, he still got an F1. To be honest with you, I don't even know if he deserved that. When I watched it, Coach Iz thought the same thing when I communicated with him. But I thought he tried to wipe the guy out, which to me, that's a bad play. Like, you can't be down 25, you're getting your butt kicked. Don't try to take somebody out, hurt somebody on the other team, which is what I thought. Now, I'm short, I was blocked, I'm on the other end. Obviously, their reaction, I thought he tried to crush this kid. I think it was Coop. So anyway, I apologize to Steve, So it gives me a chance to tell you guys what a great guy Steve is. Now, he asked me for $10,000 more in NIL because of that. But I told him I'd try to give him another commercial. I don't think he does. But he's extremely intelligent. So it gives me a chance. Like, look, Steve's everything that's good about college basketball, right? The guy he tried to walk on at Michigan State. He walked on at San Diego, got a scholarship, graduated from a great school in USD, here getting his master's. So it gives me a chance to tell you, what a great guy he is. He's everything that I believe about college basketball. That being said, I'm trying to protect, like, I take it really serious. Like, our guys don't get texts. We're not taking guys out in the air. The brand is important to me. So, but, I was wrong. I apologize to him. That being said, the brand's important to me. So, I need to dial back some of my humor, Ben, so I apologize. Sometimes I'm too candid, like, for example, talking about how bad our flight was after the NCAA tournament. I'm lucky to coach here, and, like, my advice, I've said this to guys, like, you get older, lose all your hair. I have to have facial hair now because I don't want to look like Mr. Clean. But you have to realize, like, and I have to do a better job of this, that in this climate, you've got to be careful with what you say. Because, I'm not here, I'm a good fit here because I know I'm not bigger than the brand. And the brand matters here. The school matters. The last thing I want to do is bring negative publicity to our school.
What?
There's so much to dig into in that clip. Kevin and I are like, I wish that you guys could kind of hear us live reacting to that as it was going, because there was probably like 6 things that we had a different talking point about in that conversation. And shout out to Aaron Heisen, who got that video originally.
Yes. I was fooled by an embedded tweet.
Yes, freelance UCLA Bruins reporter, because that's unbelievable, Kevin. Number one, the glazing is crazy.
It's a Steve Nash clip?
To Steve Jamerson. Yeah, he's up there and he's like, Steve's everything that's good about college basketball. Steve's like another son to me.
Now, that being said, when I apologize, he extorted me for $10K.
Steve, I put Steve under my wing, and I'm just tough on him because he's like another son to me. And yeah, we got another NIL deal coming his way. I mean, like, he's like, Steve's a humanitarian. Steve has a 3.7 GPA. Like, the glazing was out of control from Mick Cronin.
He simultaneously thinks he's a humanitarian, but then also assumed that he took the guy out like the Providence guy did, which maybe was the most obvious assault on the basketball court you've seen since the Malice in the Palace, since Isaiah Stewart.
A full-blown fight broke out with the guy with the craziest haircut in college basketball, a sport that Joseph Tugler exists in.
Goes up, grabs him by the chin, and yanks him down.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, I thought he was doing him like the Providence guy did. What? What, dude? What?
He's talking about looking like Mr. Clean.
Yeah, there was a lot going on there.
He's talking about knowing that he's not bigger than the brand, Kevin, which you were like, no, you don't. You always try to make it the Mick show.
It sounds like someone told him that he's not bigger than the brand like a day or two ago, and he's like, hey, I've been reminded that this is not the Mick Cronin show. I just want to say it's a pleasure to work here. I'm lucky. Like when you mess up with your girl, you know what I mean? You're just like, look, I am the luckiest man in the world.
You bring flowers
I don't know what
home,
I was
you
thinking.
make dinner.
Yeah. And then Mick Cronin's just like, dude, this is the greatest program the world's ever seen. I would never look at a Florida. I would never look at a Kentucky. I would never look at a Duke. It's UCLA all day, right? Like, yeah, man. It's
Kevin,
tough.
do you feel that? That's the heat turning up a little bit on Mick Cronin's seat there, because we've never heard Mick Cronin talking like that before. Mick's feeling the pressure, Kevin, because everyone's going out and being like, why is he UCLA's coach again? He's underperforming year in and year out. He has one Disney Channel miracle run in his entire career at UCLA, and he's just on top of it. He's the biggest asshole in all of sports. And then now Mick Cronin is seeing all the tweets of like, why is he the coach here again at a program like UCLA, which is arguably the most storied program in college basketball history? And then Mick starts going, listen, I know I'm not bigger than the program. We all know it. You guys hear me talk about how humble I am all the time. I'm the most humble. And that's why I'm such a great fit for this program, because I just love these colors so much. I mean, look at my blue jumpsuit that I have on today behind the blue background. Don't you just love UCLA? I wake up every day, I think, wow, I'm so lucky to be a Bruin, right? And you're just sitting there and you're like, does anyone actually believe half the things that are coming out of Mick Cronin's mouth? Not to mention, Kevin, he's sitting up there and he's saying things in his apology such as, sometimes I'm just a bit too candid. My biggest flaw is that I'm too honest. That's what Mick Cronin just went up there and told everybody.
Yeah. No, yeah. Also, Damon, I will add to this that Mick, maybe it wasn't someone going up to him and saying, yo, you're not bigger than the program. But I will say, I'm sure every coach in the country saw what happened to Jerome Tang's ass, and was like, and maybe Mick Cronin was like, I love it here. Everything's perfect here. I love traveling across country in the Big Ten. In fact, can we play in Alaska? Can we play in Alaska? Actually, Big Ten commissioner, please. I want to travel more. My name's Mick Cronin. But yeah, that's what's going on with Mini Mick these days. And then we do have one more bit of coach speak before we get into our Houston preview, but it is a little bit of a segue, Damon, as Kelvin Sampson was on John Rothstein's podcast recently, and John Rothstein had a lot to ask Kelvin Sampson. Now, it was very good stuff. Go check it out on his Twitter, and I think on CBS's YouTube and stuff like that as well. But he asked Kelvin Sampson a lot of stuff, right, about freshmen, about coaching, about all this stuff. But I think what was most pertinent was what Kelvin Sampson had to say about why watching Arizona film makes him physically ill.
They shoot 45% of their shots within 8 to 10 feet of the basket. They remind me of some of our old teams, because I used to think our best offense was a missed shot and a missed free throw.
No doubt.
Because we could go get them. Well, they're elite at that, and they're huge. Not enough people talk about Krivas. He reminds me a lot of the kid Danny Hurley had, Klingon. In his national championship teams. Bradley's a veteran, all pro. I hear about all these freshmen, but I do not hear enough of Braden Burries. He's a star, and I'm not saying that to pump him up because we play him Saturday. That dude is a star. We recruited him a little bit out of high school, and he's going to be a great player. Tommy, there's nobody I respect more than Tommy Lloyd. And when I think of Arizona, of course, it's hard for me not to think of that white-haired old giant that used to stand over there, who I coached against a lot of times, Lute Olson. The thing I always loved about Arizona was how loyal their former players were to their program. I coached Richard Jefferson one year with the Milwaukee Bucks, and Jason Terry, Gilbert Arenas, all those guys, Luke Walton. I mean, they all have such great loyalty to their program. And we've tried to build our program here at Houston a lot in those kind of shadows. Is that all the players that came through here, we want them to be proud of their university. University of Houston is a great, great, great university. We have a great president, President Couture. I love the job that our new athletic director, Eddie Nunez, is doing. And so we have a lot to look forward to. But when you play teams like Iowa State, Arizona, and Kansas, you're not just playing good teams, you're playing great programs.
Right.
And those great programs are standing on a lot of former players' shoulders. And that's the beauty of college basketball to me is the pride and tradition and the rich heritage all these programs have. So for me, it's an honor to coach against them.
Kelvin Sampson, a class act as always. We're going to get into Arizona versus Houston, Kelvin Sampson's thoughts on Arizona, and a whole lot more after our first break here on the AZ Wildcats podcast. So leave a like, drink your water, stick around. Do not go anywhere. Damon, I really hope that the Arizona Wildcats can multiply this one game that they've won in a row into two. That's multiplying the good things in our life. And we do that here with Arizona Lottery and their multiplier family. And now look at this. These multiplier scratchers are the best way to multiply the good things and add some spice to your life. You can multiply things like vacation, relaxation, celebration, maybe a new truck, another one.
That all sounds pretty good to me,
Hey,
Kevin.
Arizona Lottery multiplier scratchers. Tickets, they start at just $1 and the prizes go up to $5 million. That's right, $5 million in prizes. If I had $5 million, Damon, I might get a house. I might get a couple houses. I might get a car. I might have some grills in my mouth. I don't know what I would do.
There's no telling.
There's only one way to find out, and that's to play Arizona Lottery multiplier scratchers. With access to over 3,500 retailers across the state, you can play whenever, wherever you like. Make sure to check out Arizona Lottery wherever you can get them.
If you're looking for some gear to make your brand stand apart from the crowd, there is no other place than Branded Bills that will have you covered with the best custom headwear and apparel in the game, because they are on the apparel scene these days. Start your order with their dedicated team, and they'll help you create the exact custom apparel you need. We, of course, have our great PHNX sports hats that we have custom branded with our friends over at Branded Bills. And we absolutely love them. We're wearing them all the time. We got that Phoenix golf hat that I wear all the time. Kevin and I both rocking that PHNX canvas hat. You can find both at the store.allcitynetwork.com or the locker, but go ahead and find that for yourself. BrandedBills.com, though. It's the place you want to be when you're getting custom headwear. It's also the place that you will find the absolute best Arizona Wildcats headwear in the game. Of course, they have the campus collection, and that includes our beloved Wildcats. They have full stop, the single best hats that you will find when it comes to Arizona Wildcats stuff, because they have so many different options. They have great throwback logos, all the alternate logos, team-specific hats for baseball, softball, football, basketball, you name it. Branded Bills has got you covered. Check out that campus collection over at brandedbills.com today and use our promo code of BBPHNX for 15% off your first order. Again, that's 15% off your first order over at brandedbills.com.
Becky Burke, Brent Brennan, Braden Burries, Branded Bills. If it's BB, you know it's good. You know it's good if it's Branded Bills. Like I said, if it's BB, you know it is a strong, strong contender for GOAT status. You know what I'm saying, Damon? But we do have a game coming up, and it's Arizona versus Houston, and it is a marquee must-see matchup on a marquee must-see Saturday, as you also have Michigan and Duke going up at it on Saturday. So two just absolutely insane, high, top 5 quality matchups. Really a Final Four going on, if we're being honest, on Saturday. That's a Final Four quality day. Arizona versus Houston, Michigan versus Duke. It feels like April, Damon. It's incredible. But in order to get this done, Arizona's going to have to do something that Tommy Lloyd has yet to do. And that, honestly, no one's been able to do. That is defeat Kelvin Sampson in the Fertitta Center. The Cougars are the only team in the Big 12 that Arizona has not been able to beat since joining the league last season. They're 0-3 up against Houston in this Big 12 era, and they'll be playing in the Fertitta Center, Tillman and them, where Houston has won 18 games in a row and has only suffered one conference loss in 3 seasons. It is not a place that is easy to win in, and it's not because the environment's crazy. Right? No. As they outlined on McHale Madness last night, like
no
the
disrespect.
The fans really don't respect that program as much as they really should. right? It's just not. The tickets are expensive. The arena is small. There's a lot to do in Houston.
I would argue that, yeah, they're in a huge metropolitan area, and it's a college team that has seen an incredible rise in terms of, where they were versus where they are now. And obviously they do have like the history of like Phi Slamma Jamma, which
this ain't that.
They do have a past that is, very, very, historic, I should say. Hakeem Olajuwon, like they have some great players for sure. That being said, they kind of fell off, right? And then now they've had this rise back to greatness. So I think that building of a fan base is a little bit more of a slow cook process. I mean, look at the hat of the team I'm wearing right now. It's the youngest organization in Major League Baseball, and you're seeing more and more fan support year over year because people that have grown up with nothing but the Diamondbacks are starting to get older like me and have their own money and be able to make their own decisions, buy tickets. Building a fan base is a long-term thing. And so I'm not going to blame Houston fans. They'll get there eventually, but yeah, it's not as if it's not your typical top 10 year in and year out team in terms of fan support that you would come to expect from a program of the caliber of Houston's.
Yeah, and it's crazy because they were just in the Final Four, Damon. Just in a national championship setting.
They've been in the Final Four
less than 8 months ago.
Have they not been in the Final Four 3 of the last 4 years?
I think so.
I'm pretty sure they have.
The success there at Houston is crazy.
They're top dog right now in college basketball. Like in terms of success year in and year out, it's unbelievable.
But we say all that to say this, right? That the environment at the Fertitta Center is not why it's really hard to beat Houston there. That's because Houston is just really hard to beat. And really the most common way to beat them is to bring them to your crazy environment. If you're like Iowa State, for example, right? It's to bring them to Hilton, where Kelvin Sampson struggles to win because the environment is so nuts. But Houston's teams are so good that when you're at home and it's in your own environment, they're almost impossible to beat. And that's how good Kelvin Sampson's squads are, Damon. And like I said, it would be doing something that Arizona has yet to do. And I look forward to the challenge for the Wildcats tomorrow. But one of the reasons why... Right.
Let me fact check myself real quick. They have made the Final Four in 25 and 21. So in the last 5 seasons, they have 2 Final Fours. They have 3 Elite Eights in that time period. So they've been to the Elite Eight 3 of the last 5 years.
Still insane levels of success for a Houston program that until Kelvin Sampson got there, was really trying to relive those Benny Anders days. That was for you, Brian Edwards. That was for you. Where is Benny Anders? Nobody knows. They found him. They found Benny Anders in the documentary. Yeah, they did. Either way, right, that was just a little thing for Brian there. But Houston is an incredible team, and this is an incredible uphill battle for Arizona because you're not going to have Koa Peat. You're likely to not have Dwayne Aristotle in this one. And I think one of Arizona's big advantages in this game is paint presence, right? So if you were able to have a Koa Peat, that really doubles down that advantage for you where, yes, JoJo Tugler is an incredible defender, a great rim protector, extremely long, right? Great wingspan, very athletic in that sense as well with his length. But he's not the rim protector that Mo Krivas is, in my opinion. He's not the defensive anchor that Mo Krivas can be when he's operating at a very high level. I also think Tobe Awaka and Chris Cenac here, if we're going to do that 1-to-1, I know it's not really a 1-to-1, but I think Chris Cenac, as much as I love him as a prospect, I do think that, he hasn't really faced the front court like this yet, right? With Krivas and Awaka, he has yet to really do that. So I'm interested to see how this front court battle, really plays out, Damon, because Houston's not the most proficient paint scoring team. They have an incredible field goal percentage when they get to the rim. They just don't score at the rim extremely often, right? So as we look at points in the paint, per game for and against, you see Arizona all the way over there at the right, points in the paint per game, and then luckily they're all the way up there at the top in opponent points in the paint per game with the lesser end of things. And Houston does not score in the paint a lot, nor at will, but they also are very good defensively. They don't allow a lot of points in the paint in their game, so it's incumbent upon Arizona's front court to play dominantly in this one, to dominate the boards, get putbacks, get second chance opportunities for your team. Make sure you crash the boards on the other end so that, and then you're protecting the rim so that Houston doesn't get to the rim. Because, like I said, they shoot a very high percentage there, and they do have some pretty good finishers like Kingston Flemings and Emmanuel Sharp there as well. So, yeah, I feel like it kind of comes down to in my opinion, what Arizona's front court brings to the table tomorrow.
Yeah, it feels like that's going to have to be the position battle that you just outright win by a lot, right? And I think that, maybe it's an unrealistic expectation, Kevin, to go into the game thinking we need Braden Burries and Jaden Bradley to outscore Milos Uzan and Kingston Flemings because those two players are so good. And they've also I feel like, we talk about this a lot, but that shot creator profile, I think, is exactly the type of player that gives Arizona fits.
Yeah.
Where Houston has two of them. We've seen one of them just absolutely destroy Arizona last season in with the late game heroics that Uzan brought to the table. But and then now you have a guy in Kingston Flemings who's almost taken over that mantle from the senior point guard that has been to a Final Four and is a national runner-up for the championship, and be like, I'm the man on this team. They have two of those guys. So will Arizona's backcourt outperform those guys? No, I don't think so. But can they keep it close enough where a vast amount of difference in points from the front court versus Houston's front court can be the difference? I do think that, yes, that's probably the best avenue that Arizona has to win this one.
I agree, and while you know how I feel about Kingston Flemings, that is my son. That I love Kingston Flemings as not only a player but a prospect in the NBA as well, right? And I think that he is immense. He's so talented, but he's not perfect, right? If you look at his last two games before Iowa State, he was 4 of 22. Damon, not only was he 4 of 22, he had 4 turnovers against Kansas State, 3 turnovers against Iowa State. He can be turned over sometimes, right? Not very often, but I do think it's incumbent upon Arizona to make these shot attempts very difficult for him. Kind of roll out the Jaden Bradley defense, right? Let him get to his spots in the mid-range, but make sure it's 1 or 2 feet back from where he is used to taking them, because one thing Kingston Flemings is incredible at is hunting his spot in the mid-range. Whether or not he's trapped in the corner and needs to take a couple of dribbles to get out to the hash and then re-attack and get to the spot before the below man can come up and help, and he gets a shot off and it's a bucket. Regardless of where he's doing it, he's so good at hunting mid-range jumpers that I think it's on Arizona to not stop him from getting those shots, because you can't, but you can make sure he gets those shots out of his usual comfort zone, kind of like people have been doing to Jaden Bradley, right? Because when you watch Kingston Fleming's game, right, obviously, he studied a little bit of Chris Paul, because the way he gets to his mid-range shot is very similar. And I bring that up to say this. We know Jaden Bradley studying Chris Paul. And I think there's a lot of senior qualities to his mid-range game, Kingston Flemings that is. And I think when you're talking about how teams defend, which is nuts, and how teams defend Jaden Bradley, I think you kind of have to defend Kingston Flemings in that same way. You got to give him the respect that he might make these shots, but you got to do what you can to make him uncomfortable, right? Because he can be made uncomfortable.
Yeah, for sure. And one thing that when I watch Kingston Flemings that sticks out to me, Kevin, is the way he whips the basketball around the court. I mean, the dude throws some of the hardest passes I think I've seen out of a college basketball player, and yet they seem to be pretty pinpoint for the most part. He really is finding his man oftentimes across the court. But one thing that he does do a little bit too often is leave his feet without knowing exactly where he's going with the basketball, I think, when he's needing to make a pass. You see him drive baseline a lot, kind of get stuffed under the basket where he doesn't have a layup attempt opportunity. And so then he's jumping up looking for a guy to swing the ball out to. I do think that Jaden Bradley in particular is uniquely built to intercept some of those passes. And if I'm Arizona, I'm looking for ways to where Tommy maybe watching film and the GAs and the assistant coaches watching film can break down when Kingston Flemings likes to leave his feet with those type of passes. Is it when he's primarily driving baseline? What leads him into these actions? Try to bait him into those actions and then have Jaden Bradley on the back end ready to just fly in and intercept the basketball. I think that could be maybe one plan of attack in which Tommy Lloyd in Arizona could deploy against a player that is as good as Flemings. But man, you really have to kind of grasp at straws with a player who's that good, that talented, a guy who looks to be a top 5 pick in the NBA draft. if the season ended today.
And if I may be honest with you, and this is a spoiler alert, but to be those in the Discord, you already know. So if you're a diehard and you're in our diehard Discord, you already know. But I'm working on I don't really want to call it a big board. I don't really want to call it like a top 25, but I'm working on some sort of top 50, top 25 list for this year's draft class based on, I just think, who are the best players, right? Ranked
Give
1
us
to
30.
25. Fine, 1 to 30, Damon. First round, if you will, right? So I think Kingston
Your
Flemings,
first round prospects. That's what people want to see.
Sure, yes. And that will be diehard only. It will be members only content as well. We'll talk about it on the show. We'll talk about it on socials, but you really gotta dive in with us here. Tap in with us as a diehard or a members only level. Because those are the people that we love. We like all y'all, but we love the members and diehards. So yeah, keep an eye out for that over the next maybe week or two. We're kind of working on that. But I bring all that up to say this. Kingston Flemings for me is like top 3, honestly.
Yeah. He's pretty cold.
Like, it's one of those things where, like, do I want to be a prisoner of the moment and be like, no, it's a top 3 or a Fab 5 with Kingston Flemings at the 5. And it's like, he might be the third best guy in that mix, man. He pretty much can make every shot AJ DeBanza can make, and he can facilitate an offense.
Would you take Kingston Flemings over Darren Peterson? I think it's a legitimate conversation.
It is
with what we're seeing with Darren Peterson.
Here's the thing.
I've been dancing on that take for the entirety of this season, basically, of like, can you trust Darren Peterson with how unreliable he is and how much it seems like he's really not that locked in on helping his team, be successful more than he is trying to help facilitate his career success? But Kingston Flemings is a team player.
Can I be honest with you, Damon?
A leader of Houston at 19, that's a special individual.
Is this a safe space? Fired Up Friday? This is about as fired up as it's going to get. I have not finalized my list at all. I just started working on it yesterday, but I might have Acuff and Flemings above Peterson. Because until you talk to Darren, which I cannot do, and figure out where his mind is at, where his health is at, like what's going on with these minutes, what's going on with him asking out, what's going on with the way Bill Self is communicating. Like you said, you can't. Like, with the information that you and I have as podcasters in Arizona, we cannot make like what would be a job-risking decision on a guy that I don't even know if he is listening to the right people. And can we change who he's listening to? So until you get in that room with him, like if he goes through the draft meetings and stuff, and this turns out to be some great misunderstanding between him, his agent, and the athletic director at Kansas or whatever, cool. He might go number 1, honestly, because his talent is that level, right?
Sure.
His shot is that good. His offense is that potent. But if this is a Darren Peterson thing as to why he's not playing, if this is like a him-driven issue, then yeah, to be honest with you, I would think about taking Kingston Flemings. I would think about taking Darius Acuff over, AJ DeBanza and, Caleb Wilson. Like, he might end up like as my 6th guy on the board if this is like what he's going to do. But all that aside, I brought that up to say this, Damon. There are 3 guys in this game that are solidified, bona fide first-round draft prospects, right? It would be 4 if Koa Peat was playing. But you got Kingston Flemings, Braden Burries, and Chris Cenac. And I am pumped to see what Braden Burries can do in this game because he has a chance to really put his name on the map in this one. He's done it on a couple occasions this year. Alabama, right? Some of these other games that Braden Burries has gone off. But in this one against Houston, where it feels like the NFL football is over, college football is over, non-con is over, the everything is done. The Olympics are wrapping up here pretty soon, right? So this is Braden Burries' opportunity to say, it's Final Four preview day. Arizona, Houston, Michigan, Duke. I'm putting my name on the map tonight. I am locking myself into a lottery pick, and that's nothing that's going to change with this performance. This is what you love as a basketball fan, right? 3 potential lottery picks just going at it in a game. It's incredible. I'm excited for it.
Yeah. I think Braden Burries has a big opportunity to kind of, showcase himself in this game, right? Because Kingston Flemings has been showing up in these type of games all season long, right? It's, that's been probably the difference between those 2 players because Braden Burries has been that level of good for, quite the time now. Even in his more down games, he's sick in the last game. The game before that, he gives you 16 like on, pretty good efficiency. Like he's been finding a way to be productive even in the nights where he's not taking over, of which there are many. And so I think Braden Burries has a real opportunity to go on the road against a top 5 team, against a guy who's considered to be a top 5 pick right now, and say, I'm just as good as this guy at minimum, right? I mean, and if he can kind of go toe to toe, if it's a freshman v freshman battle, like that would be a really, really good look, regardless of outcome for Braden Burries and just his overall draft stock. But I'm a little interested in the Chris Cenac side of things, Kevin. So I know he hasn't had maybe the dream freshman year that Kingston Flemings has had, that, maybe Koa Peat had in the first half and that Braden Burries has had in the second half of this year so far, but he's still considered to be like a lottery caliber prospect as of right now.
Yeah, like he'll probably end up in like that 10 to 15 range potentially. And if he continues to beast the way he did against Iowa State with 12 rebounds, 7 points, as well as good, decent efficiency, and the man can shoot the 3 as well. Like he's still growing that part of his game. Like you might get a 2 for 3 against Kansas State and then a 1 for 5 from beyond the arc against Iowa State. But Chris Cenac Jr., like I'm really interested in what he could be as a prospect, right? Kind of for all the same, not all the same, but a lot of the same foundational reasons as to why people like Nate Ament, right? A kid that might be able to space the floor at the NBA level, that is 6'10", 6'11", right? I think Chris Cenac, he doesn't quite, when he's on the court as a freshman, he doesn't quite look all of that 6'11" frame. But I think as he fills out, he will start to play that way. I do think he has the capability to protect the rim. He's not been the best rim protector so far this year. And that's why I think in this game, as we talked about earlier, Damon, it's incumbent upon the front court to dominate Houston's front court. Because you can make Chris Cenac, I don't want to say invisible. That feels harsh. But you can remove him from the environment in a way that maybe he puts up like for example, against Texas Tech, he had 7 rebounds, 2 points, on 1 shot attempt, 18 minutes. I don't know. 18 minutes is strange. I don't know if that was what that situation was. But my point is, you can make sure he's less impactful if you're doing your job, right? Mm-hmm. And we know Houston, if you watch that Iowa State game, we know Houston sometimes, as a team, falls asleep at the wheel when they're rebounding. They just don't, as a team, communicate who's pinching, who's going for the ball, who's got shooter, whatnot. And Arizona rarely fails in that area. So like I said, you got to dominate the front court because it can take Chris Cenac to a place where he's not nearly as impactful. It can take Tugler to a place where he's pretty much just like defensive, and that's really it. That's kind of why I came down to that front court thing, because Chris Cenac is really good, but he can be stopped. Where Kingston Flemings is really, really good, I'm not sure he can be stopped. He can kind of just get slowed down.
And I don't think that the first round caliber prospects start there. I think you're stopped there, I should say. I think Ivan Karchenkov is a first round guy. Mo
Krivos?
I was just about to say potentially Mo Krivos has gotten some love, but I was gonna say with Karchenkov, like maybe it's not next year, but if he stays, there's no doubt in my mind that he's going to be a first round prospect. And if he doesn't stay, I think someone is getting an absolute steal if he somehow makes his way out of the first round. But I mean, you have lots of pro prospects on the court here. Jaden Bradley and Milos Uzan both are guys that entered into the draft process, tried to get feedback on their games from scouts and to see what they needed to work on and get better at. And I think both those guys are on the radars of NBA teams as well. So it really is a star-studded, clash out there. Even the Tuglers and the Awakas of the world, who maybe aren't NBA players, are like insanely good college basketball players in their own right that, are very, very valuable to winning teams. So it's going to be an absolute battle. We're going to get into Houston's strengths and weaknesses on the other side of this break here on the AZ Wildcats podcast. So please drop a like on this video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already, drink your water, and do not go anywhere.
Burr, 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 burr. Wee woo, wee woo, wee woo. Breaking news, Damon. The Window Depot, first of all, is more than just a window store, but they are now introducing flooring to their selection at the Window Depot. And now, why is that big news? Because if you're listening to this podcast, very likely that you support Tucson more than you support Phoenix, and I respect that. Even though I do live up here in Phoenix, I respect that because Tucson is a superior city. The Window Depot knows that because not only do they produce their windows in Tucson, but now flooring is only available in Tucson stores, but it is coming to Phoenix soon. So if you're up here in the Valley with me and Damon, do not fret. The Window Depot does care about the Valley as well. They care about the whole state of Arizona, the state that they've been serving since 2002. And it started with windows, but now it's doors, skylights, cabinets, countertops, sinks, and now flooring. So make sure to check out the Window Depot at thewindowdepot.com and get started on your next project today because they have tons of quantity, but also really high quality stuff as well. So stop by one of their 7 Arizona locations to see for yourself why it's more than just a window store.
Kevin, if you are looking for the perfect staycation, if you're an Arizona resident, there's no other place to go than Gila River Resorts and Casinos. Guys, forget the Vegas trip. Forget the Vegas flight, the red eye over there, the drive that, takes way too long and is very iffy as to what kind of traffic you're going to run into, because Vegas is in your backyard at the 4 Gila River Resort and Casino locations coming to the Valley from now until the end of April. Guys, the Vegas residency at Gila River Resorts and Casinos brings the energy, attitude, and excitement of Las Vegas straight to you. They have the exclusive concerts, extended DJ sets, showgirls, chef-driven dining, pop-up bars, and surprise cameos. That was some Sally Sells Seashells down by the seashore stuff right there from our friends at Gila River Resorts and Casinos. But please do not miss out also on this fabulous Corvette giveaway that they have going on from now until the end of April. You can enter for your chance to win one of the 4 Corvettes that they're giving away from April 27th to April 30th. For more information, of course, visit playatgila.com for that. But guys, forget going to Vegas. Forget that long drive. Forget that long trip. Do it in your backyard. Do it at a Gila River Resort and Casino location, of which there are 4. We love them all, but Wild Horse Pass is my favorite. I'm a Wild Horse Pass man. I've made that very clear. Kevin, you're a V-Kiva man. That's out in your neck of the woods.
Yeah. I do miss Wild Horse Pass.
But they, of course, have different locations all over the Valley, something for everybody. Check it out for yourself. Visit playatgila.com for more details, and do not miss your chance to accelerate into luxury. Play, earn, and win at any of our 4 casino locations.
We're talking about matchups for this Houston game, Damon, and I feel like we would be remiss. We talked a lot about the freshmen, right? But it's not a freshman on freshman show. There's a lot of moving parts here with this Houston matchup. One of those moving parts is one Emmanuel Sharp. Now, I think that the matchup between him and potentially Ivan Karchenkov could be absolute Karchenkov because his ability to be tough on and off the ball, I think, is going to be matched by Karchenkov. But Emmanuel Sharp has a lot of at least college experience on Ivan Karchenkov. And I think it's going to be interesting to see how Tommy deploys Ivan in this one because, as we know, Donovan Atwell, I can go down a whole list of 3-point shooters that have cost Arizona in games this year, last year, the year prior, right? Emmanuel Sharp being one of them, right? So I think it's going to be interesting to see how he is defended in this one.
I think that you want to see Karchenkov on Flemings and Uzan a little bit.
Yeah.
To be honest with you.
Yeah.
I mean, I think he's the most suffocating and best, on ball and off ball defender you probably have. He's frankly that good at defense, but with those guys being kind of the engines of the offense, I think it almost would be helpful to Arizona for maybe Burries to be on Sharp, who's a shooter, and kind of allow him to maybe focus more on the offensive side, whereas the guys that are going to have the ball primarily in their hands maybe give Karchenkov that matchup a little bit. Not that Karchenkov won't be on Sharp at all. I think he'll be on everybody, but I would like to see us throw different looks at those 2 point guards for Houston in particular.
Yeah, he'll get switched on to dudes throughout the course of this game, and I think he'll be capable of
he'll probably play some power forward as well, too.
Potentially, yeah. Yeah, I could totally see him throwing on like maybe a Chris Cenac for a couple seconds out there as well. Mm-hmm. But, I think that matchup's going to be fascinating. I think it's also interesting to see how Arizona deals with Houston's depth in this one because they do have some depth to work with there. I tweeted last game watching Houston versus Iowa State. I was like, I feel like every time I tune into Houston, they got a new guy with a high motor and high basketball IQ that I'd never heard of before. Like, who is this Sacco fella that is absolutely balling out? But other than that aside, there is one thing that is really interesting about this Houston team and all Kelvin Sampson teams is that they foul a lot, right? They do foul a lot. Now, here is the free throw attempt rate for and against. And as you see, Houston, they let up by far the most free throw attempt rate with over 39%. And they also attempt by far the least with Kansas State down there below 28% free throw attempt rate. And now you might be like, oh, this is where Arizona can take over the game. And that is true. This is a point where Arizona, they're Krivas, Awaka, some of these guys that are more adept at creating rim pressure and drawing fouls, that can really help you. It's part of the reason why Houston lost to Iowa State was because Emmanuel Sharp was not able to play his full complement of minutes because of foul trouble in that game, right? So if Arizona is able to draw a bunch of fouls, that would help them heavily in this one. But when asked about, whether or not, he worries about his team's fouling too much, Damon, you want to know what Kelvin Sampson had to say? Hoss, we've been fouling since you were born.
Bro got hossed.
Hoss, we've been fouling since you were kicking in the belly of your mother, son.
What's worse, what Mick Cronin did to the Michigan State journalist, or getting hossed by a coach that you just asked a question to?
Dude, if I get hossed by Kelvin Sampson, I'm kind of honored, to be honest.
You think so?
In a way. I mean,
There's a level to which that if you get hossed, that there like a level of position where it's actually flattering versus when it's when like some guy waiter does it at like Texas Roadhouse and you're like,
yeah,
all right, buddy, let's relax a little bit on the belittling here. But when it's Kelvin Sampson, it's
100%.
He's a man that commands a room. Respect.
110%, Damon. And they also shoot extremely well from the corner three. Little fun fact for you there. But let's get into their strengths and weaknesses and then get on out of here for today. We do have a pregame and postgame and a watch-along tomorrow as well. So stay tapped in with this channel for all your Arizona Wildcats coverage. What is Houston good at besides pretty much everything?
A lot.
Turnover margin, dictating the game flow, and Sampson Tough trademark. Now, let's start with Sampson Tough. What is Sampson Tough trademark? Has they trademarked it? No. Did we throw that on there? Yes, because it feels like it should be trademarked. It feels like
Will we command royalties if Houston decides to thus start selling this as merchandise? Absolutely.
Yes, we will. But it feels like you could trademark this if you're a Kelvin Sampson, because every one of his teams are tough in the same way, right? Like the same reason he talked about, Hoss, we've been fouling since you were born. It's because he wants this physical brand of defense. He wants to trap. He wants to make other teams uncomfortable, and risk reward, part of that battle is fouling, right? And oftentimes he has teams that are good enough, that are deep enough to handle this, and we've seen that to the extent of 3 of the last 4 Elite Eights Kelvin Sampson has been a part of. So this strategy clearly works for them, but I would just caution Arizona fans to get ready for this one and not to come at the team if they don't look like they got, the tougher end of it here, because Houston, this is what they've been, bred to do, is play tough, hard-nosed basketball. The same way Arizona's trying to get there, right? You hear Kelvin Sampson talk about how he built his teams in the image of Lute Olson, and now Tommy Lloyd's building his team in the image of Kelvin Sampson, who built his team in the image of Lute Olson. So it's really just everything is Lute Olson at the end. It's absolute Olson over here. But yeah, I mean, maybe we should start trying to sell some Tommy Tough trademark merch, Damon. Tommy Tough could be kind of fire. Either way, this is going to be one of those games where get the ice baths ready. You know what I mean? Get the ice baths ready for the boys after this game, because they're going to need it. Get the IVs for Braden Burries. He's going to need it because he's going to be expending a ton of energy trying to escape traps, trying to get the ball over half court, trying to escape Houston's insane press, escape Houston's insane suffocating half court defense. But yeah, the strengths.
And be tired for Baylor. I mean, as much as, it's like you want to, take every game seriously, and I think that Arizona still will. They've found a way to, not really fall to teams that are just lower caliber than them all season long. But I think, treat this game like it means everything, because it really well and truly does when it comes to what this regular season conference title is going to end up being. Like, Houston wins this game, it's probably over. Arizona wins this game, I don't want to say it's over because you still got Iowa State on the schedule, but you're in a really good spot with Koa Peat hopefully being back soon. But yeah, I mean, they are certainly about as tough as it gets, and I think Tommy has looked at Houston as like the example of how tough Arizona needs to be in Kelvin's program. And you listen to the way both of these guys talk about each other's teams. I mean, I talked about glazing earlier. It's a glaze fest between Tommy and Kelvin Sampson anytime that they're talking Houston, Arizona. But it's flattering for us because that's a program that's been extremely successful in the postseason recently and is, one possession away from winning a natty last year. And also is 2 for 2 in terms of winning the Big 12. And I think Arizona's well on its way to being right there as like a year in, year out, kind of contender for Final Four national championships. But Houston also is really good at a couple of other things, and that's they play their pace. They're going to make you play to their style. It's not really going. You don't really have the opportunity to run and gun with Houston because they just want it to be in the half court so much. And also turnover margin. They're elite at forcing turnovers. They're elite at keeping the ball and holding on to it. If you look at their turnover percentage, they're third in all of college basketball at 12.6%. And in terms of their defensive turnover percentage, they're at 22%, which is ninth. So they are top 10 in both forcing turnovers and holding onto the basketball. And therefore, they get extra possessions over your team on any given night. And against Arizona, they're going to need that because Arizona has the size advantage and probably will win the rebounding battle. So that's extra possessions versus extra possessions there. So I think, one key there for Arizona is potentially going to need to be to be very, very, cautious with the basketball in your hands. Try not to turn it over too much.
Indeed. Now we're going to turn it over to tomorrow where we have pregame watch along and postgame coverage. And if you want more keys, score predictions and whatnot, and maybe probably an availability update as well by the time tomorrow rolls around, check into our pregame show tomorrow right here on this YouTube channel. Subscribe if you have not done so already. Damon and I, we're here all the time. We practically live on your TV screens at this point. So leave a like, subscribe to this channel, and make sure to tap in with our shows tomorrow as well.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Do we hit the weaknesses?
We did not. I was just plugging our stuff.
Okay. All right. Let's hit these weaknesses here before we get on out of here. Houston's weaknesses. Number one, we've talked about it a lot, paint presence. And I have that bozo right on screen right next to us, Joseph Tugler, because he's a really good defender, Kevin. Very switchable, big, insane wingspan. I mean, you could just see it when you're watching him play. We were talking about on our last post game the guy outside the car dealership, the inflatable man.
The arm flailing too.
That's how Joseph Tugler runs down the basketball court on a possession by possession basis, and he runs. Mm-hmm. He runs hard down the basketball court. Not the biggest of bigs, but very physical. Always looking to put a body on somebody. There's a reason that I don't like him very much, and it's because I think he's almost a bit too physical. Like I think it borders on being a little bit dirty. But overall, they're not a team that is going to kill you in the post. They're not a team that's going to kill you in the paint. Their bigs are much more of rebounders, putback specialists, lob threats, more than they are players like a JT Toppin who can maybe put his back to the basket and create his own shot. So Arizona, big advantage in the way of, I would say, just ability to score in the paint when it comes to, big men and also just overall size difference.
Yeah, I agree with you, Damon. And then next up, getting to the line. This Houston team is not very proficient at getting to the free throw line. They do foul a lot, but they do not draw a ton of fouls. And when we're talking about how to defeat an Arizona team or how Arizona can defeat this Houston team, you're going to have to get them into foul trouble, and you're going to have to draw fouls. You're going to have to get to the free throw line. You're going to have to win the free throw battle and not get in foul trouble yourself. Not let Kingston Flemings get going by getting to the line. Don't let Chris Cenac get to the line. Don't let JoJo Tugler get to the line. You have to be disciplined, more disciplined than even one of the more disciplined teams in the country of Houston. So that is going to be important here as well. And they are currently, I think these are, division percentiles. They are second percentile in all of Division I in free throw attempt rate at just 26.2%. And that is 16.3 free throw attempts per game, which is sixth percentile in all of Division I.
They're 358th, Kevin, at that 26.2% free throw rate. 358th out of 365 teams, putting them one spot above, you guessed it, Jerome Tang's Kansas State. When the line doing immunity.
I'm going to go dance with my student section after beating Tulsa by 1, and we're going to have a lot of fun.
I mean, just electric. That sounded just like Lil Baby on our screens right there.
Yeah, man.
Kevin's
we might
guy,
get DMCA'd.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a strike from YouTube. And then our last weakness, we have one more weakness, I believe. Bench production. Now, they don't have the strongest bench in the world. You look at Houston's bench production. They come in at bench minutes at 276. So they're not, huge in terms of, giving even minutes to their guys that are coming off the bench. But here's what I will say. They have a guy in Isaiah Harwell who was the number 16 recruit in the nation. 5-star out of Missouri, Kevin represent. And it's basically like, I would argue it's like he hasn't been efficient at all this year, Kevin. You look at his stats. I mean, he's shooting like 28% from the field, which is quite bad in 17 minutes a game. But that's a guy similar to how Arizona has, had with Dwayne Aristode, where you almost have a dude just on the bench who, is a really, really highly touted prospect, a blue chip type of prospect, just waiting in the wings, right? And I feel like Isaiah Harwell, while he might not be having the best and most efficient of years, that talent is still there, and in any given night, he can still kind of give you a few buckets. They could push Houston over the top. I
mean, he hit a big shot against Iowa State the other night. It was a big 3-point shot in that game, open, but he hit it. And I mean, I like his 3-point shot. I know his percentages stink. I know his efficiency stinks, but I do not think he stinks. I think he is just a freshman in the limited role, and that is a tough spot to be in. I think we've seen that with Aristode. I think we've seen that with other freshmen in the past. It's hard to not have like the role that maybe you imagined when you signed that dotted line and then still produce at the same level that you imagined, especially because people thought that he was going to be Flemings. People thought that Flemings coming in, if you were a Houston fan, you likely thought, okay, Kingston Flemings, 2-year project. Isaiah Harwell, that's the guy, freshman year. Boom. Yeah. Uzan, Harwell, Sharp, done. Mm-hmm. And then you get in, and all of a sudden, Flemings is your best player on the whole damn team. And now you got to reshuffle. And I'm sure as much as Isaiah Harwell knows basketball, as much as Isaiah Harwell knows his teammates, I'm sure when he saw Kingston Flemings play for the first time, he thought, ooh, we got another dog on this team, and I'm going to have to step my game up. And that's probably a different position to be in. So I still believe in Isaiah Harwell. I really do. I think he, like you said, he could be a player in this game that you're looking around like, damn, 2 threes in the clutch from Isaiah Harwell? Where did that come from? Well, 5-star. People thought he was going to be better than Kingston Flemings is how good he was in high school. So,
yeah, they also have a few other guys. I mean, we've talked about Sacco, and that's a dude who essentially is only like a lob threat in a dunker, but he can play some hard minutes for you, and he's athletic. Mercy Miller, another player, Kevin, that was pretty highly touted, was the number 54 prospect 2 classes ago. And he's been a bench piece for Kelvin Sampson. So they do have some talent on that bench. They just don't give a lot of minutes to their bench guys, and their bench guys don't necessarily have the biggest impact from the box score standpoint side of things. So I do think that Arizona maybe could take advantage of that. Not that this, rotation is, in the best spot that it's been in all season, because considering Koa Peat out, Dwayne Aristode probably out. But I do think that like Anthony Orso alone potentially could maybe outscore all of Houston's bench.
Indeed. And also, Damon, I feel like I must drop this news on the pod. I just saw on Twitter from Houston's basketball account. This is the first ever top 5 matchup in the history of their arena.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Between 2 top 5 teams.
Arizona making history everywhere that we go.
The Super Bowl!
We're everyone's Super Bowl. You know how it is. It's the life of an Arizona Wildcat. That's just kind of what you do when you have a special program like Arizona. Unfortunately, another special program in Arizona softball is getting their behinds kicked right now, Kevin.
Damn.
11-2 Texas on Arizona. Top of the 7th.
The Diamond Sports, man. They're not shining.
Bases juiced. I think, we could be seeing a double-digit loss here for Arizona softball. So not great. Not great there. Not great on that side of things. As you said, not great for baseball either. But hopefully Arizona basketball can save us tomorrow and get the biggest win of the season, give Arizona the kind of leg up in the Big 12 title race as we lead into the last portion of this college basketball season. That's going to do it for me and Kevin today. We'll be back tomorrow giving you pregame and postgame coverage of Arizona versus Houston. So, guys, make sure that you guys subscribe to the channel and lead up to that. We cannot wait for what is the biggest game of the season. We'll be doing pregame at 12:30, and then, of course, postgame 10 minutes after that final buzzer sounds right on this very same channel. So like this video, subscribe to the channel. Hopefully we see all of you guys here tomorrow, and we can discuss this top 5 matchup, number 2 Houston versus number 4 Arizona. And it is going to be absolute Karchenkov, Kevin. We cannot wait for it. Follow me at Damon Dog. That's DAWG. Follow Kevin at KevoPost. That's KEVOPOSTS. And follow us at PHNX_Wildcats on all social except for TikTok, where we're at AZ Wildcats Pod. Appreciate everybody for watching this show. A banger Friday episode. We'll be back on Saturday for pregame, postgame of Arizona versus Houston. In the meantime, peace out. Bear down.
And go Cats. Chat, did you just raise your voice at me?
We all silly like the mayor.